I was a senior in high school. I was at home by myself one night. I was supposed to be doing my homework when my phone rang, and it was my dad. And that was the first time in my life I ever heard his voice. Up until that point, I never saw a picture of my father. Now, the moment that I was born, my 22-year-old mother took me. She took my older brother and my sister, and we started over. And as a little boy, I thought my mom had the coolest job in the world because she was a convenience store clerk. So I got candy. But when your mother's a convenience store clerk, money will always be tight in your home, especially when she's a single mother. And money was always tight in our home. In fact, even after my mother remarried, money was extremely tight. And one of my most significant memories was being a middle schooler. I was making a ham and cheese sandwich. I was in my kitchen when my mother walked in and said, "Son, you can't do that. Son, we're not a ham and cheese family. You got to choose one of those. You got to put the other one back. We are a ham or cheese family." And when she said that, that lie that Megan Wood spoke about, it came to me and it said, "You are nothing. You come from nothing. You're worth nothing. You have nothing, and you will always be nothing but a ham or cheese kid. Why do you think your father hasn't called you by now?" And I'm telling you, under the weight of that lie, you can be crushed. When that lie comes, you are in trouble. But you better hope you have somebody that loves you, somebody that believes in you, somebody whose love is bigger than whatever lie you're being told. Now, it might only be one person. You might only have one person, but that one person could be enough to change your whole story. I know this.
Amen.
Because for me, that one person is my Uncle Jerry. This is my Uncle Jerry at the head of the table. This is me at the bottom right-hand side of the table, and this picture was taken before the pandemic. Just a little bit before the pandemic. This man didn't have to love me. He already had 2 boys of his own. He didn't have a lot of money. And I wasn't his blood relative. But somehow he made time for me. He taught me things little boys usually learn from their dads. He taught me how to tie a knot the right way. He taught me how to throw a spiral football. He taught me how to dive in the water without doing a belly buster. That is helpful. That is very helpful.
Oh, yes.
He told me that he loved me. He said he expected the same thing out of me that he expected from his own 2 sons. He expected me to be a man of character. And he expected that whatever I did, I would give 110%. But no, he didn't just say, "I love you." No, that's easy. He showed me that he loved me. Like the time I went out for football, well, I didn't have money for cleats. So I just went out there in tennis shoes. My Uncle Jerry comes to watch me play. I'm sliding around on the grass. He comes out there and says, "Bobby, where are your cleats? You can't play football without cleats, son." I said, "Uncle Jerry, I don't have any cleats right now, but I'm going to get some soon." The next thing I know, we're headed down to Payless Shoe Store. This man bought me a brand new pair of black, low-top, size 11 football cleats. I had an orange and a white stripe down the side, and I looked so good on that bench. So good. It was not funny back then. I remember not having money for school supplies. I don't know what I'm going to do. Find myself sitting in Uncle Jerry's truck, and he's talking to me about how important school is. And then he takes his hand and he put it in my hand. And he's got money folded up in his hand. And he looks at me and he says, "Son, I want you to take this money, okay? I want you to get what you need for school. Look at me, son. We're not going to let anything stand in the sun. Look at me. We're not going to let anything stand in the way of that plan God has for your life. Do you understand?" I know I love him. I know I named my son after him. You take that one man out of my life. My life goes a completely different path, but my wife and I, we've been married for 23 years. Thank you. Children, and we have been blessed to be a part of ministry on almost every continent on planet Earth. We are a family. That's who we are. I know firsthand what it feels like when somebody steps into a child's life and gives them a little bit of help, what a difference it can make. And that's why I'm here. So in 2008, I get an opportunity to travel the world. It's the first time in my life I ever left the country. And before I knew it, I was standing in a village of shanties. Shanties are people's homes. Their homes are the size of our bedrooms. They don't have electricity in their homes. They're made out of sticks and sheet metal. Entire families living in these small homes, living off of the equivalent of about $2 US a day. But while I was in this village, I met a little boy and his single mother who couldn't afford a shanty. So she lives under a black plastic tarp tied to 3 trees. 2 of those trees held a hammock. And in that hammock, this mother and her 2-year-old daughter slept every night under that plastic. And on the ground beneath her was an old piece of cut-out carpet that she laid in the dirt so that her 8-year-old and her 5-year-old son did not have to sleep in the dirt. And as I'm standing here listening to this mother's story, I look at her 8-year-old son, and I wonder what he's thinking. His mother can only afford to feed him 1 meal a day. He sleeps in the dirt. That's way worse than being a ham and cheese kid. And I'm thinking, if that's what I wrestled with, what is he wrestling with? And where's this hope going to come from? And I didn't know it, but the answer was right around the corner. It came from his school. And he was excited to show me his school. And he took me by the hand, he led me up the village to his school, and I'm going to take you there tonight. But I got to ask that you go in there with the eyes of an 8-year-old child who sleeps in the dirt and only gets 1 meal. School looks completely different this way. He took me by the hand, and he led me into his school, and right over here, 2 classrooms. And his teacher is standing by the classroom, and he runs in, and he gets the biggest hug from his teacher. And then he goes to his desk. He doesn't even have a bed, but he's got his own desk with artwork and school supplies and everything he needs to have a great day. If you walk out of his classroom, and you walk down about 20 yards, you're going to see teenagers learning carpentry. They're learning skills that are going to break the cycle of poverty and actually get them a real job so that they can break this whole cycle. Yeah! If you walk out of there, back down the hall, and over here, there's 2 bathrooms right here. These bathrooms had sinks. They got running water. They got soap and toilets that flush. It's the only 2 toilets in the entire village, and this little boy gets to use them. Yeah. If you walk out of the bathroom, above your head is a massive container of clean drinking water. If you breathe in, you'll smell the smell of chicken and rice cooking, and he's going to eat in about 30 minutes. But the thing that I will never forget as long as I ever live was just a wooden box nailed to a wall. This teacher goes over. She puts her hand in the box. She pulls out a handful of letters. She starts calling these children over. She starts handing them letters. And And these children take their letters and they go off by themselves to read them. I learned that these letters are only here because each child has someone around the world that believes in them. And they're providing clean water and education and medical care and everything I'm looking at. But they're also writing letters to tell this child, you are more than a child that sleeps in the dirt. Some of the letters had stickers in them, so when they came back, they put those stickers on my pants. They put them on my water bottle and on my forehead. And we're just having a sticker party. And I look up and I see a sight. I hope I never forget this sight. It was a little girl that came back later than everybody else because she took her own sweet time to read her letter. And she's got her letter in her hand. Her smile is beaming. She takes this letter and she puts it up against her chest and she starts slow dancing with this letter. And she is hugging this letter so tight. It's like she was trying to hug whoever was on the other side of this piece of paper. And she came up to me. She looks up at me and she says to me something in Spanish. Amy? And I looked at that little girl and I said, I don't even know what you just said. So she said it to me louder and faster, like that was going to help me out. Something, in Spanish, Amy. And by now, the translator can tell I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So he comes in. He sits down. He listens to this little girl. And he looks at me. And he says, well, she wants to know, do you know her sponsor? Her sponsor's name is Amy, and she's from the United States. And since you're from the United States, she's pretty sure y'all know each other. And I didn't have to know Amy to know that this is her Uncle Jerry. He knew exactly what that little girl was asking me. And I have sponsored children every day of my life since that question. The latest young lady that we sponsored, she's from Honduras. We just started sponsoring her, my wife and I, back in October, because we learned that in Honduras, you don't graduate high school until the 12th grade, but if you're in a rural part of Honduras, they only offer school to the 8th grade. If you want to go to school beyond that, you have to find a way to get there, which means walking for hours in one of the most dangerous countries in all the world. So young boys instead leave the 8th grade and begin to work in coffee farms for the rest of their lives. But young girls, they leave the 8th grade and they marry much older men. So when I was in Honduras, I met this young girl and her single mother, and we told her we wanted to sponsor her.
We're going to see our sponsor child, Natalia, and she has no idea that we're sponsoring her today. So this is a surprise to her. She's here with her mother, and we cannot wait to see her and tell her she's going to be our sponsor child.
We started this tour on April 2nd with 575 young girls that we try to give them the help they need. Tonight, I'm standing in front of you and we have 57 girls left that need this. There is no reason why tonight could not be the night that we can say every little girl that we came on this tour with got the help that they need. I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to ask that if you would invite a young lady into your family through sponsorship, it's $39 a month. It provides everything I've been talking to you about, and it's absolutely life-changing. Tonight, we're going to ask that every person in this room raise your hand And when you raise your hand, they're going to bring you a child. A child just like this little one right here. Her name is Christy. Christy was born in 2016, so she's a 9-year-old little girl. I see your hand right there already. She's 9 years old, and tonight, when somebody raises their hand and chooses her, you are her one and only sponsor. This is her only packet in all the world. So when you raise her in your hand, you become her Amy, or you become her Uncle Jerry, and then we're able to move on to the next one. So right now I'm going to count to 3, and let's go ahead and bring you a child. 1, 2, 3. Just raise your hands as high as you can around the room. If you can just get them up really high. Our volunteers are going to come around. As long as they are holding a packet in the air, that child has not been chosen. It is our greatest desire to get every child chosen before we leave.
Do you want to go look around?
We have 6 children at the table.
We're not leaving yet, are we? No, we're just
So
going to
keep
go
your
look
hands as high
around.
as
We're
you
taking
can
a
in the
break
air.
real quick.
When they bring you a child,
Whenever
we
they're
need you to
done,
pull
yeah.
out this envelope.
Like, this is done.
Inside this envelope,
Well, they're probably
we need you to
playing.
fill this form out. I see hands over here. If you can just give us a little bit of time, don't grow weary on us. Keep your hands up as high as you can. You're going to fill this form out. You're going to turn it right back into our volunteers. There's still plenty of hands over here.